Why do they do that? So you might have noticed the beautiful molding in here. It's very lovely, like the crown molding, and I guess I would assume that that's a decorative central molding. I don't know what to call that. What is the crown jewel molding, I guess, if it's at the center? Anyways, this is one of those interesting things that I don't understand. That do flies do this everywhere in the world, or do they only do this in Paris? Because I've only seen this in Paris. Where I'm from, flies go for food. Right? Flies are all about whatever food you got in your garbage in the counter. There's no food up here. You know, I haven't gotten any yet. But these guys are doing the same thing that the flies did in my landlady's apartment, which is they just fly in circles underneath the molding in the middle of the room. She has a lamp hanging from hers. These guys don't have anything hanging from theirs, and yet the flies are still they're just hanging out in that area.
It's like they're happy to starve as long as they get to fly around under something pretty. It's weird.
Why? Anybody know? Any biologists out there know? Why? Why do they do this? Why? It makes no sense. I gotta buy like one of those electric rackets and like my way through a couple of flies here apparently. That's something I should do today. Other stuff on the docket today besides fly murder. They're right here. That does not make any sense to me. Whoa, there's a big one. Other stuff that I'm going to be doing today, we're going to finally record the last episode of this season of Building the Oracle, our podcast. So Richard and Zach are coming over, so I need to buy some pastries for them and for me because I'm hungry. So I'm going to go do that, but we're going to be sitting here recording and we're going to be talking about what comes next, like a recap of the season and what comes next. And I highly recommend that you give it a listen if you're at all interested in the publishing side of what I've been doing and my book that came out recently and where we're headed in the future with the science fiction and fantasy. But today on the vlog, I thought that I would talk a little bit about why I might actually take a break from writing for a while. Because if you didn't know, I've written a lot. And I kind of feel like maybe taking a break just for a bit. Speaking of breaks, let's go get some pastries. And if the store has them, an electric racket would be a great idea. I know, where would I buy? I've seen them in stores. I gotta find out. I gotta figure out where to buy one. Why do they behave that way? I don't understand. Kind of fascinating though. I wonder if they think that it's fruit, like the hanging light and so forth, and it's gonna drop at some point if they perform enough spinny rituals underneath it. Maybe it's part of their fruity fly religion. Anyways, let's make coffee. I mean, really, I'm how would you say it? Ready to be caffeinated? I was gonna a low level brag about something. I don't know. I feel like I'm doing a good job. I feel like the scale adds a lot. Thanks again, James. I'm ready for some hot coffee. I would put the pain au chocolat. I was gonna get a mix of croissants and pain au chocolat, but they were out of croissants. So I would put the pain au chocolat on a plate and leave it out for my soon-to-be guests. But flies. Also mildly concerned for the recording process because it sounded like maybe they were doing a little bit more construction. It sounds like it's coming from one of the restaurants downstairs and reverberating up through the building, but now I have a neighbor that sounds like they just like to stomp around on the weekends, so hopefully you don't hear that in the background. Anyways, let's talk a little bit more about what's to come. See, that was like a transition where I close the... Here, let's try it again. Whoa. Now, the podcasting has been great. I've really, really enjoyed it this entire time. Not gonna lie. I'm gonna step back and get a little bit of better light, maybe. We learned a lot through the whole process, and that was kind of the goal when we started out. We set out to make sure that we were actually learning some things about how to podcast, where our strengths and weaknesses lay, and then also plotting out the future for the publishing side of things and discussing a number of business elements and just generally, having a grand old time. And we accomplished that. We had a lot of really good conversations. We learned a lot, and we made it to the end of that commitment of doing an entire season, a full season straight through of 6 months and 12 episodes. Now, as I say that, it reminds me that behind me, I've got one of those champagne bottles that we were going to pop earlier for finishing season 1 of Building the Oracle. So we're going to be popping that this afternoon to celebrate in the early afternoon with a little bit of alcohol, completing that first season once we're done recording, because Zach should be here too, and we want to share it with him. I so missed having a Chemex. I've always wanted my own brand. I inherited a Chemex once, my old one, but I just kind of always wanted my own brand new, pretty, perfectly clean, delightful Chemex. And I missed Chemex coffee. I'm not gonna lie. It just it tastes kind of lighter for some reason. Anyways. I know you can't tell if I'm lying or not, but I think I make a mean cup of coffee. It's tasty. So as you may have noticed yesterday, or along the lines of like a bunch of my videos in the past, I've written a bunch of science fiction and fantasy books in particular in the past, and something that I've always really enjoyed and something I've imagined doing my entire life. And I'm in this phase right now of questioning kind of everything. Like, what am I doing? Where am I going? How am I going to get there? And part of the podcast was to explore that idea. And we'll probably talk about this more in depth in the podcast if you want to go give that a listen. Hint, hint, wink, wink, go download. But I just don't know right now. And I'm sure that a lot of you can relate that the world is kind of crazy. I'm so grateful for what I already have. And I've never taken the time to just focus on one thing. I always have multiple projects going. I always am doing a lot of things at once. Part of that was just the need to survive. Part of that was because I didn't know how else I was going to make it. And I didn't know what avenue was going to end up working out for me to start making my way towards the dreams that I had. And it turned out in the end, thankfully, that YouTube was that avenue more than anything. Like these conversations, the ability to sit and chat. It's pretty phenomenal. So, with that, how do I go about, pursuing the future? Pursuing the future? Do you pursue the future? Imagine this is is that right? It doesn't look right. You were seeing the inside of the shelf there. So I want to keep writing and I want to find the time and the space, but I want to be writing because I'm excited and passionate about my writing. As much or more than anything. Loosey-goosey thing about writing that's not really true. I want to keep writing. And writing for me has been a discipline. I set out to publish a book every year for 10 years until I had 10 books published. And I think I might have actually accomplished that. I don't know if I have 9 or 10 books out. I think I have 9 books out. So I really need to get one more out if I'm going to stick with that in the next year. But that was as much an exercise to improve in the craft and to actually just get down and be disciplined and do it for a long time. So that by the time I got to where I am now, I would hopefully actually be a half-decent writer, which I think I've more or less accomplished. But, at the end of the day, it also means that I've stayed with that discipline for a very, very long time. And now I'm in this place where I have a competition in my brain space, which is telling stories through YouTube regularly. And so it becomes very difficult to find and make time for writing when you're using up a lot of the same energy for video production. I've talked about this before. It's hard to do both. And I like doing both a lot, but this might have to be something that fits into the whole vlogging and then taking a break thing. Now we're talking about taking breaks from daily vlogging. That I use those breaks not just to sleep, which is something I definitely will do, but also to write and to focus on that. Because even though I know I want to take a break from being so hardcore about writing, as I talk about it, like what makes me most excited is actually to think about like having dedicated time to focus on the writing and making that, part of my job. And that's really exciting. I really like the idea of that. And I do want to write more books. And I do want to write more science fiction and fantasy, but I did enjoy my first little foray into nonfiction. That was it was fun. I liked it. So this is ultimately the question. How do I go about it? I'm enjoying daily vlogging a lot. I hope you're enjoying it too. I recognize that as well, it's been kind of a real mixture of vlog days styles, like how much I'm going out and about, but part of that's just because the city's not fully open yet. And I am looking forward to getting out, seeing some museums and monuments as they open up. But the ones that I was hoping to go to haven't all opened up yet, and it's, mildly confusing. But I am looking forward to figuring it out, which I guess is kind of like the mantra of my life, is I'm just trying to figure this out as I go. And I feel like I'm just like a step or two away from having that balance within my work and my lifestyle. That was what I always wanted to have, which is something that did include writing. And did include, publishing. I really enjoy publishing. I know I complain about, I feel like I have to talk about this a little bit too, because I complained so much about the ills of my publishing life this week, because the logistics and so forth were kind of a nightmare. But that was part of the learning process with this new system. And I really have the feeling that I'm gonna nail it next time. And now that I have a better relationship with the printer, hopefully I didn't ruin it in any way along the way by being annoying. But I feel like it makes me want to make another book just to make another book, because I like making books. I like writing them. I like directing the production of them. I like releasing them. I like all of it. I'm not a huge fan of the existential disappointment in myself as a human being and as a writer once it's out in the hands of other humans. That's just a part of life in general, and being a writer, that part kind of sucks. But the rest of it, yeah, something I really, really like. And I want to, I need to continue. It is a part of me. So this conversation with you right now is also part of me trying to figure out, what is next? How do we do this? Now, on the podcast side of things, you should go listen to it to hear why we're going to be putting it on hold for now. It's something that we'll come back to, and we'll talk about the publishing house side of things and whatever else. But it was kind of a step ahead of where we really were, given the COVID situation and given the stuff going on in personal lives and everything else. It was a little bit much that we jumped into, but there's a lot there, and we had a really good time, and we learned a lot, and I'm really excited for whatever comes next out of it. It's just that part of what we learned from doing it is that we need to put that part on pause. I'm struggling with the P's. So that's about it. We're gonna record this podcast now. Once we're done, I'll pop the bottle for you on the camera, and then you can go give it a listen and let us know what you think. If you haven't gotten a copy of my new book, it's available in ebook right now. Like I said yesterday, I'm going to be making physical copies available soon, but I'm going to withhold some of those just to make sure that everybody actually gets theirs, because once we're out, we're out. So I want to make sure that, we get those off. But because there's such interest in the physical books, in the next month or two, I'm sure we'll have another solution available for you if you're interested. So we'll do a second edition or a second print run. It's not a second edition, it's just a second run, but not really right. We'll talk about it. I'll let you know when it happens. You don't want to know all this publishing nerdery stuff. I get it. I'm wandering down a lot of nerd trails lately. Speaking of which, as the sirens kick up, let's record a podcast.
And I was talking to the guy.
Yeah, there's Zach packing the mics. We just finished the episode. It's over, and I forgot to tell you guys, and might be purely symbolic at this point, but this is one of my goals, season 1 of Building the Oracle.
Ah, look at that.
So we get to pop a champagne bottle, which I haven't done on camera in a while. Kushan, if you see this later, now you know why I was probably late. Okay. And a little buzz when I showed up.
Oh, wow.
And then we'll have a little bit of rushed bubbly, because Zach's got a phone call, and I'm going to the protest that's happening up at Republique. But I don't want to miss out on this. I made the extra effort to bring it down and everything. I swear I know how to do this. Come on, tear this last little bit.
It's going to make your computer.
That's a good idea. Oh, actually, let's do this over by the sink. Oh, here it comes. Where did the cork go? Oh, it's in there. Okay. I was gonna say.
You got glass?
I didn't. Yeah, it was perfect. It didn't overflow or anything.
Oops, sorry, Gustav. I stepped on him.
For the
there we go.
Father figure among us.
This is where all that Patreon money went, right?
Yeah, thank you for the Patreon money. This is bought us one bottle of champagne. All right, gents, cheers to a successful season of podcasting.
Absolutely.
We actually that's an accomplishment. We actually podcasted for an entire season. Assuming Zach doesn't drink all the champagne and not edit it.
Yeah, I still have to do that.
By the way, Zach, I'm sending you home with this.
Oh, thank you. I hope my camera skills are not
Sure, they're great.
horrific.
Thank you so much for supporting us. If you supported us, if you listened to the podcast, give it a listen. This last episode is us kind of wrapping up the whole season. If you want to listen to the whole season, it's timeless. So feel free to sort of accept the fact that it starts before a global pandemic and everything changes. It'll be fun. You'll enjoy it. And yeah, I'm going to go to this protest, and I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning for mimosas, I guess. And thanks specifically, of course, to our patron producer today, Wendy Alexander, and all of our patrons, both on the Dread Gods Patreon and on mine. You guys make all the difference in the world.
Damn it, they heard us.